and welcome to this, the 58th episode of the Sockmatician podcast. My name is Nathan Taylor, also known as Sockmatician right here on YouTube and on Ravelry, Instagram and Twitter. Welcome to 2018. How exciting is this? It's January, it's now January the 5th. Excuse me, I've had a little break over Christmas, as I'm sure you'll have noticed. My last podcast episode went up on the 1st of December, and I haven't had a chance to record another one until now, over a month later, and I have missed you. I've missed you so much, and I've missed doing this, so it's really, really good to be back in the saddle. You can see behind me, my Christmas tree is still up. That needs to be attended to today because it's the 5th of January, of course, and tonight's 12th night, and it's all a bit scary. Although not to put too fine a point on it, I do have a little Christmas tree which is over there, which you can't see on camera, which was neglected when we put away the decorations in 2016 for Christmas. And it's still there, a year and a bit later. What can go wrong? See, I'm not very superstitious. You'll notice too that Aloysius and Stuart can't even sit up straight. They're lying out flat from all of the stuffing of chocolates and cakes and crisps and goodies that they've been doing over Christmas. And, you know, I'm no exception. How was yours? Christmas is a time of year for being with family and for, sometimes that family is not your relations, sometimes it's the family you've chosen. And I think being with family, your tribe, finding the people you want to spend time with is what Christmas is all about. Did you do that? Did you have a wonderful time with lots of nephews and nieces running around? Did you rather decide you wanted to spend Christmas in a quiet, more sedate way? Well, I got both of that. Both of those options. So I may as well plough straight into the roundup and just very briefly try and catch you up on what's been happening over the last 5 weeks since I last saw you. In terms of Christmas journeying, most years Ben and I spend quite a lot of time over Christmas in the car, eating up many, many miles on the road, and this year was no exception at all. I have family that's kind of spread out all over the place, and when you combine my family with Ben's family, and obviously trying to put the time in and tick all the boxes to see everybody so that we get a chance to see all the people we love and that they all get a chance to see us too, which is hopefully something they enjoy. It can be quite tricky trying to organise who goes where when. So this year, the 22nd of December, gosh, it seems like so long ago already. The 22nd of December is my sister's birthday, and I set off on the train on my own to go up to Whitchurch, where my niece came and collected me in the car with her partner Tom, and we went over to my sister's house, which is actually in Cheshire, to start my lot's family Christmas. It was obviously Sam's birthday and I wanted to spend time with her on the actual big day, because it's always nice to be able to do that. It's so close to Christmas. I always consider that I've been really, really lucky with my birthday. My birthday is the 30th of June, and that's right in the middle of the summer. It was always towards the end of the summer term, so there's still school kids around, but we had those holidays to look forward to, and there was usually good weather, and it was Wimbledon, and crucially, it's 6 months between one Christmas and the next. Now, my poor sister, 3 days before Christmas, has to wait an entire 12 months between one little present-giving season for her and the next. And if she gets presents for Christmas or birthday, like a new bike or roller skates, it was probably snowing and she probably wasn't going to be able to use it until much, much later in the year. The one thing my mother always did, though, and I think she was very right to do this, we were allowed to put the Christmas tree, not that one, although that one is about 21 years old. I think it's just done its 21st Christmas. We were allowed to put the tree up during December, but none of the cards and none of the decorations or hanging things until after the 22nd, because my mum didn't want Sam's birthday to be completely subsumed into the whole melee of Christmas, and I think that was a really good thing. So, I was there. Ben, unfortunately, couldn't join us then, he was working down on the somewhere near the south coast that evening, and so he drove up, and he reached us about 11:30 at night, so he managed to just squeak in before the end of her birthday. And then we were all there for the 23rd, which was our family's fake Christmas. Now, for the last few years, we've done a fake Christmas, a real Christmas, a fake Christmas, a real Christmas. And the reason for that is that we all have other places that we often need to go, and sometimes you can alternate between one set of in-laws and the other, and that's great and no one gets cross. And if you can coordinate it so that everyone's alternating sort of in the right order, so that when, you know, you're all away for 1 year and you're all together for the next, then that works out brilliantly, and that's thankfully what we've been doing. So this year, I've just eaten some Maltesers, and my mouth is watering really badly. It's horrible to slurpy noises. I do apologise, but meh. So this year, it was fake Christmas on the 23rd. There was, for dinner, there was me, Ben, my sister, my mum and her partner Ron, my dad and my stepmother Liz, and my nephew Lewis and his girlfriend Shona, my niece Jenny and her partner Tom, and my niece Becky and her partner Aaron and their daughter Renee, and it's 14. Is that might be everybody. Apologies if I've missed anybody out. It was a lot of people, and it was thoroughly lovely. My sister is a wonderful cook. She manages to get about a gazillion different types of vegetable ready. She's got one of these fantastic, very 70s-esque hostess trolleys in the kitchen with like heated compartment. It's brilliant. So she piles everything in there, cooks anything else, just lets it happen. It's brilliant. And we had a really lovely time. We played some very silly games on Christmas evening, including a game, I don't know if you're aware of it, called Cards Against Humanity. It's wrong, it's all very inappropriate, and kind of embarrassing when you're playing it with various members of the family. I'm not going to go into detail. If you don't know what Cards Against Humanity is, please don't go Googling. It's a lot of fun. It's very naughty. So that was that. And then on Christmas Eve. So I mean, we genuinely did Christmas on the 23rd, and it felt like Christmas. It was really bizarre. We woke up and we had presents. We had people coming round. We had a walk after dinner. We had the big dinner itself. We had all the things you would associate with a big family Christmas on the 23rd, which meant that on the 24th. Ben and I were then travelling down, we all sort of went our separate ways. Ben and I were travelling down to Thaxted at North Essex near Cambridge to spend the Christmas period itself with his family. Now, it was really kind of weird because we were on the road, all stuffed with yesterday's dinner, tired from the day's activities, and it felt like Boxing Day. And listening to the radio and seeing other people on the road with us, they were all gearing up to their Christmas, and we've had ours. We did it so properly, it genuinely felt like the 23rd was our Christmas, which it was. So then we were with Ben's parents and his brother, so there's just 5 of us, Ben and me, his mum and dad, Richard and Noel, and Edward, his brother. His partner Sasha was away in South Africa visiting his own family, that's where he's from. And so just the 5 of us, and we had a really gentle, lovely day. There's something brilliant has been happening in the town of Thaxted where they live. It's one of the longest unbroken medieval streets in the country that they live on, and it's beautiful. These houses are all sort of ramshackle and higgledy-piggledy, all painted different colours, with beams showing in the ceilings and in the walls. They're really charming, proper little chocolate box type cottages, but one massive long terrace, all unbroken. It's fantastic. And they'd done an initiative that 24 of the houses had been chosen to display a Christmas window during Advent. So every day throughout December, a different house would unveil its window, and we didn't know where they all were, so we went off looking and went searching for them. We found 22 out of the 24. We couldn't find the other 2. But some of them were really, really lovely. Some of them were basically, they put their Christmas tree up in the window, which they probably did every year, and then just stuck the number on the window to say, look, we're taking part. Not much effort made. But our friends, Sally and Stuart, they live on that street too, and they were number 10, I believe, and they had gone to great lengths. They had, Stuart's very enterprising, and he'd got a wooden pallet. He got his saw out, and he'd cut the planks of the pallet into cross bits of different lengths, all with chamfered edges, to make this wooden Christmas tree shaped contraption, all out of the bare wood of the pallet. And they had other sort of tall spikes of wood of different sizes, which they painted, beautiful colours, and it looked absolutely stunning. It wasn't a competition, but hands down, they won. They won the street. So we went out looking for all the others, and as I say, we found 22 of them, and then we knocked on Sally and Stuart's door this was Christmas Day in the evening, and they were, we could see them through the window, because we saw their window, and then through it we could see they were all sitting around the table with some of their family, and playing some games, because they're great games players, and we always play very silly board games when we get together and have a riotous good time. So although they're Ben's parents' friends, they've become mine and Ben's friends as well, kind of separately, and they came to our wedding. They're that kind of friend. They're not just people we know through other people. And so we popped in and saw them, and they had, because they were part of it, they had the map and they knew where the others were. One of the ones that we didn't find, we can't be blamed for. They'd taken their number down. I don't know why. And the other one was kind of directly opposite the house we were standing in, and we had looked at the window and we hadn't seen the number. So I don't know how we did. So anyway, we basically saw pretty much all of them. It was lovely. It's a really nice initiative, and I think if they do it again, I think people will probably make a bit more effort across the board next time, and we could end up with it being a bit of a tourist attraction. It'll be quite an honour to be one of the houses that gets involved, and it was just lovely Christmassy stuff. Really, really, really nice. That wasn't it. Then on the 26th, Ben and I drove down to Dorset, to Ringwood, where there's a hotel. We went there last year as well. You may remember me talking about it. And it's for Ben's extended family's get-together. So his aunt and uncle and all of his cousins. Ben and Edward only have 4 first cousins. None on his dad's side, and his mum is one of 3, and each of them had 2 children, so there's 6 cousins, but lots of children in the next generation down, and lots of partners, and it became, I think there were 27 of us for dinner, but it was in a hotel. We'd taken it over. They did this amazing deal. They call it, and I'm not happy about this is a word that shouldn't exist. They do a special deal for the days between Christmas and New Year, and they call that period Twixmas. Now, I love a portmanteau word. Who doesn't? But something about Twixmas, it makes my skin crawl a little bit. Anyway, what doesn't make my skin crawl is the price. We had a double room with breakfast for, I think, $29.99 between us. No one's making money out of this, surely. And we paid for dinner as well, which was £27 a head, 3-course meal with a cracker and a glass of wine. Really, really very, very good deal. So I think for £45 each, we had dinner and a night at the hotel. Lovely. And we were all there with Ben's family, a lovely bunch of people. I've seen over the last 15 years his cousins' children growing up from children into young adults, and they're very nice, loving, caring, friendly people. We had a lovely time. Then, so the 27th, when we woke up still at the hotel, the 27th is my mother-in-law, Noelle, Ben's mum, her birthday. So we pushed off with me, Ben, Richard and Noelle. We went down to a place called, near the coast, a place called Tyneham, Tyneham, which is an old deserted village. It was deserted in the Second World War because it's on MOD military property, and the whole village got evicted. So it's really, really weird to see these houses and a school and a church and a farm that that were sort of a thriving little country community. So there was a manor house there, and I think that the village probably grew up to house the servants and the staff for the manor house, but it became a little community. It's only very tiny, not very many cottages there, but it had a school and it had a post office, and it all stopped when the village would. I think they were given something like 10 days notice saying you're going to have to go somewhere else, and they all had to leave. And it's become a bit of a museum. There's plaques up on the wall, and you can read quite a lot of information about it. It's fascinating. Most of the houses have got no roofs now, but in some of them you can walk around and you can still see in the kitchen near the fire there'd be a great big copper for washing the clothes in the laundry cottages, and in the schoolhouse. The schoolhouse is quite well maintained, and it's been sort of recreated as it would have been back then. So that one's kind of interesting because you can see what it would be like, but less interesting because it's not the genuine original stuff. Do you see what I mean? But it's really, really fascinating. I had a lovely time down there. And then that evening we got in the car and came home. And then there was a few days where we were just sort of chilling out, and we saw a few friends, and then it was New Year. It just goes on, doesn't it? And at New Year, Ben and I went up to spend time with my goddaughter on New Year's Eve, because this is Poppy. Poppy was the ring bearer for my wedding, if anyone's seen it. She was 7 at the time. She's now just turned 12. Oh, she was 8 at the time, and now she's just turned 12. And she's growing up into a very fine young lady. She's getting very tall and willowy, just like her mother. I've seen photographs of when Lisa was that age. Lisa and I went to drama college together, so we've known each other for 25 years, and we are very, very, very close. And it was just really nice. There was a half plan to go out to one of their village parties. We've got to know quite a few of the people that live in their village, and they've become friends as well. But when it came to it, we just sort of sat in with a sherry and watched the silly telly. And at midnight, as always, I play ABBA's Happy New Year. I have done every single year since 1980. And I can't miss it. I have it on my phone, it's with me all the time, and it's my own little tradition. And it was really, really interesting this year because I sort of... Actually, do you know what? I'll circle back to this. I'll circle back to what I was about to say in a later section. It was just lovely to see everybody, and on the 1st... When was it? Yeah, on the 1st, as we left Huntingdon, up near sort of Peterborough, as we left Lisa and Mark to journey back, we actually took a little bit of a detour to Aylesbury, because Ben's godson, Will, who is the other ring bearer in our wedding, Poppy and Will walked down the aisle together. It's the only time they've ever met. Now, as soon as they were born so close together in age, and we knew that they were going to be very, very beautiful, intelligent children because of who their parents are. Ben and I decided that Poppy and Will grow up and get married. I mean, we've made the assumption that they're going to both be heterosexual. Who knows? So far, they are, or they certainly seem to be. So I think they should get married. And they don't. I'm not sure they're particularly interested. They've met each other at the wedding. They seem to get on okay, but we've got some work to do there. But Will's not been very well. He was in hospital with suspected appendicitis over New Year. Turns out it's not appendicitis, and the doctor's doing lots of blood tests. He's home from hospital now, which is good news, but the doctor's doing lots of tests to find out exactly what's going wrong. So we're hoping that it's all going to turn out very, very well. But in the meantime, we decided, because it wasn't much of a detour on our way home. We probably wouldn't have gone if we'd been at home. But we decided we'd drop into the hospital where he was, because he'd had surgery to see if it was appendicitis, and they would have taken his appendix out if it had been. Then they found that it wasn't, but they were in there anyways, had a little dig around to find out what was going on, and he was recovering from that. So he was feeling a little bit sorry for himself. He's only 12, and they've got a 6-year-old daughter, 7-year-old, how old is Jeannie? 7-year-old daughter as well. And she'd been left with neighbours, and we knew that his parents would be really stressed. So we thought, let's just go in. We can offer to do anything. We can offer to do any grocery shopping. We can get them a coffee. We can just bring some books for the kids to play with, and just hopefully lighten the mood a bit, because no one likes to have a poorly child in hospital over a period like New Year. I mean, ever, but it sort of feels worse at that time of year when everyone should be celebrating and having fun. So we popped in, and we hadn't told them we were coming because they'd have said, no, don't bother, but I'm so glad we did. I'm so glad we did. It was exactly the right thing to do, and we were able to spend about 2 hours with them at the hospital, and then it was visiting time was over, so we then went back to Ray Linian's house with them, and we were able to see Jeannie when she came back from her neighbours, and it was just, I think we were just able to talk about other things. Left on their own, of course, they would have just been, well, what is it? Is Will going to be okay? They hadn't had any test results back, and they were imagining all sorts of horror stories. Thankfully, it hasn't turned out to be any of the nasty things that they were worried about. But left alone, they would have continued along that vein and whipped themselves up into a frenzy. And I think us being there was just a distraction. Obviously, at the beginning, we talked about Will and what was going on and what it potentially could be and what the doctors had said. But after that, we moved on to other things, and that was very deliberate on mine and Ben's part. We started talking about, oh God, I don't even know, but anything else. And I think it was just a really nice chance to see them. Rayleigh is also 8 months pregnant. So she's going through all of this stress with this big baby bump. She's due at the end of this month. And it was really lovely to get a chance to see her before she gives birth to their third child. Because I don't think we'd have had the chance to. Not that I would wish Will to get poorly just so that could happen. You do understand what I mean, right? But it was really nice to get the chance, whatever the circumstances, to see them, because they're very dear friends of ours. So we came home late. We got home about 1 o'clock in the morning on the 2nd. And I've just sort of been trying to grind myself back into the year. It's sort of tricky, I'm not going to lie, because I now don't have the fixed routine of a day job. I don't have a reason to sort of have to be out of the house doing certain things at a certain time. It's all on my own time, and I do have some deadlines coming up, and I am aware that the last 2 months of the year and leading up to now, I've fallen into a little bit of a pit of indolence, where it's been easier to do nothing than to get off my backside and do the things that I need to do. So I do have some really important deadlines coming up. Again, it's all the stuff I can't really talk about. And I need to work on those. I need to make sure I really focus on that. And that's certainly the plan. So I've got back at my office over the last few days and putting in some hours. I'm really trying hard to focus and get myself back into the routine of just living my life. And that's not always easy. It's really not, when you've got lots of other things that might be more fun to do. The perils of being entirely your own boss. I've got no one to tell me to pull my finger out, and sometimes it's really hard to tell yourself those things. Anyway, that's that. I want to crack into some podcasty stuff now. Let's talk about some community stuff. I've got two, before we go any further with that, so this is community stuff, but actually it's going to be Where's Sockmatician? Where's Sockmatician, I hear you ask? Well, apart from being right here, and I know I've been sort of absent from social media over the Christmas period, and some people have been a little bit concerned, particularly because of the content of my last podcast episode, but I promise you it's been nothing to do with any of that. It's just been busy life, family stuff, and a bit of laziness. So over the next 5 months, I'm quite a busy boy in terms of where I'm going to be with different appearances here, there and everywhere, doing classes and shows and things like that. So I want to give you a quick roundup, as brief as possible, about where I'm going to be between now and sort of early June. The first commitment I have this year is the Waltham Abbey Wool Show, which is happening in Waltham Abbey at the Marriott Hotel there on the 21st of January, which is a Sunday. It opens at 10 o'clock, and if you don't know this already, I am privileged and lucky enough to be the guest of honour this year. I'm the special guest, and I get to open the actual event. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I can't tell you how excited this makes me feel. I'm going to get to cut a ribbon and everything. It's going to be amazing. I've never done anything like it before, and I'm so pleased. Diana and Kate, when they asked me to do it, ladies, I don't think you had any idea how much joy you've given me, just the whole concept of doing this. I love it. So I am teaching a class at the festival, a double knitting class, but it's completely sold out, so no point me giving you details about that. But I will be at 10 o'clock, as I say, cutting the ribbon to open it, so if you want to see me there, and then you can do, and I will be obviously around for chats and meets with anybody who wants to say hello. But I'm also going to be the judge this year for their funky footwear competition. Again, so much joy, cannot tell you how much joy and glee this brings to my heart. The funky footwear competition is being judged by me at 12:30 during the day. There's no pre-registration required. Kate has asked me to let people know you can just turn up wearing your funky footwear. Now, it can be knitted, it can be crocheted, it can be felted, basically any of the fibre crafts that create something funky. It could be slippers, could be shoes, could be socks, could be tights, could be anything that goes on your feet that is made out of fibre craft method. You just turn up wearing them. You don't need to pre-register, just be there for 12:15, I guess 12:30. And it's important that you don't feel that what we'll be looking for is perfect technique on any of this. Whatever your technique is, whatever you've decided to make your footwear with, it doesn't matter how well executed it is. What I will be looking for is originality and uniqueness. That's actually, it's odd because Kate told me that's what she wanted, but I was already thinking that's exactly what I will be looking for. You know what I'm like. I like people to be expressive and to be a little bit eccentric and to go a little bit crazy with this kind of stuff. So you've still got a few weeks. Make something. I think the only rule is that the wearer needs to be the creator. You can't wear things that have been made by somebody else. So as long as you're the creator and you are wearing them, you are eligible. And if it's funky, get it in the competition. Oh, and if it's footwear, obviously, because it's funky footwear. I'm really looking forward to that, can you tell? Then on the 28th of January, which is the following Sunday, the last Sunday of the month, I will be teaching my Shaping the Future of Double Knitting class at Wild and Woolly in Lower Clapton Road. It's a 10 till 1, so it's a morning class. I know there are still a couple of places available, so if you are interested and you've done some double knitting before, listen, you don't need to be a DK expert at all. If you've made a scarf, if you've made a pot holder, then you absolutely will be able to do this class. So I don't want anyone to feel that, oh, double knitting is really, really hard. No, it's not. This class will give you all the techniques for shaping in terms of increases and decreases. We'll be looking at lots of different types of increases and decreases, as well as the theory behind them and how you can then come across any decrease that you want in the future and go, oh, I want to do this in double knitting. I don't know how to do it on two sides. Well, this should give you enough tools in your arsenal to be able to work out some stuff for yourselves as well. It's a really, really fun class. It's really, really great. The only requirement is that you can already do basic double knitting. If that sounds like you, and you're around on Sunday the 28th of January, then pop to the Wild and Woolly website and book your place today. Look forward to seeing you there. Then February, at the moment, I have a clean diary as far as knitting commitments is concerned, so which is kind of good because at the end of February, one of my big deadlines is due, so that'll give me time to focus on that, and I need that time. March is the main thing that's happening is Edinburgh Yarn Festival, which is the weekend of the 16th, 17th, 18th of March. I'll be there all weekend. I'm doing lots of teaching. I've got 3 classes going on over just 2 days, so I'll be around before and after my classes. So I will be taking part in the Podcasters Lounge as well, the Black and Yarns Podcasters Lounge, hosted by Louise Scully of Knit British Podcast. I know there's going to be a lot of podcasters there as well, so if you are a podcast aficionado and you want to sort of pop along and see all of your favourite podcasters, hopefully I will be among them, then you can do that. If not, and I'm not around there because of my teaching commitments, when you are, I will be around. Now, at all of these yarn shows, this is the thing that happens afterwards. I get a whole fistful of messages from people saying, oh, I saw you at Edinburgh, I saw you at Rhinebeck, I was too shy to come and say hello. please don't be too shy to come say hello. Please, honestly, there is nothing to be shy of. And if I'm talking to someone else, that's okay, butt in. I can talk to two people at once, it's fine. I'd much rather say hello than people go home and go, I want to say hello and I didn't feel I could. Well, you can. You have my absolute permission to come and say hello. I love it when I get a chance to meet people. If we're people who have communicated on Instagram or anything like that, then that's brilliant. And if we're not, and if you've never had any dealings with me whatsoever, except you watch this podcast perhaps, that's okay too. I don't need you to be a known friend, as it were, to enjoy getting to know you in the flesh. So bear that in mind, and I don't want to hear anyone saying I was too shy. Got it? Good. April and May, busy for me, which is great. The 7th of April, which is the Saturday, I am going to be teaching my demystifying double knitting, which is the beginners double knitting class, at a yarn story in Bath. The class is from 12 midday till 3 p.m. and it's my standard double knitting class. And if you ever thought you want to do some double knitting, you've got no experience of it whatsoever, this is for you. It'd be lovely to be down in Bath. I haven't done any classes yet down in the West Country, and of course I'm a very proud West Country boy. I had many operations in Bath. I was quite a sickly kid, and it was my local hospital, so I always feel that, you know, a little part of me will be in Bath, and that little part of me is my adenoids, because that's where I had them taken out. So that's the 7th. Again, all details here, so if you are around in Bath on Saturday the 7th and you want to take a class with me, you can, at a yarn story. On April the 14th, which is the following Saturday, I am going to be taking one and possibly a second class. I don't know if the second class is... we're talking about opening up a second class because the first class is selling well, so I don't know what the status of that is yet, but I shall be at Beautiful Things in Brentwood with the lovely Claire McInnes, who hosts lots and lots of fabulous classes at her studios there. I've got... The class which is confirmed is 10 till 1, so that one I think may already be sold out, and if it is, then Claire and I will probably be opening up another class from 2 till 5, so it's worth contacting Claire if you can't see that on her website at the moment, because no doubt hearing about more interest will convince her that we need the second class. So that's essentially what's going on there. So it's Saturday the 14th at Beautiful Things in Brentwood, which is just off the M25 in Essex. Now this isn't confirmed yet, so I can only sort of talk about it in very vague terms, but on the weekend of the 21st and 22nd of April, there's a very good possibility, I'm really excited about this, that I might be going over to the Netherlands to teach a couple of classes there. At my last class at Wild and Woolly, I had the very good fortune to meet with two very, very lovely and kind Dutch ladies, whose names I'm not going to say yet because it may fall through, and fingers crossed it won't, but and they really enjoyed the class, and one of them runs a yarn shop in a place called Mark Nessa, and with a bit of luck, we're talking about trying to get some things fixed up for them that weekend, so watch this space on that. And then on the 28th, golly, at Handmade Studios down near Portsmouth in Hampshire, excuse me, from 1 till 4, I should be teaching my demystifying double knitting beginners class as well. So that's details here. That's only just been confirmed in terms of dates, so I don't know if it's yet on the Handmade Studios website, but again, watch the space, and if you're around for any of those days, check them out. Then we get into May, and I'm nearly there. May the 11th to the 13th, there's a knitting retreat taking place in Darlington, and I'm in talks about being part of that. I don't know any of the details yet, but I will get back to you when I know more about it. And then, of course, the end of May, 25th and 26th of May, it's the first ever wool show in the Republic of Ireland, in Southern Ireland, or in Ireland, depending on what you choose to call it. And in Dublin itself, I will be teaching 3 classes at the Woolin Festival. Details across here. The first class on the Friday is already sold out, which is great. And I know there are still places available for both of the classes on the Saturday. So get booking. One of those classes is, I think the morning class is the shaping, the sort of the increases and decreases classes if you've already done some DK, and the afternoon class is the beginners class. I know there are places, I don't know how many places are left, but I know there's still some places available for both of those. So if you are going to be going to the Woolen Festival, then please book up and avoid disappointment later on. They probably won't hang around for long, I shouldn't think. And again, like in Edinburgh, if you see me, come and say hello. I love talking to people at shows. I really, really do. I want to know what you've bought. I want to know, I will probably ask you what's your star purchase. I want to know what you're here for. I want to know everything about why you're there. So please, please, please do come and say hello. And then from Dublin, I'm flying straight over to Greece to the Rhodes Knitting Retreat, which has been organised by my very good friend John Glenn of the Beardy Chill podcast. Hello, John. I hope your new year is going well. Your Christmas looked like it was fun from your posts. And I think there's still places available on that retreat as well. It's not about places available on the classes. It's not just me teaching. There are... there's Ellie of Skein-Deer is also teaching. Oh, that's right. That's the three of us. John is... I knew there were three teachers, and it was John. John was the one that slipped my mind. John himself is teaching some shawl construction technique classes. Ellie from Skein-Deer is going to be doing some colourwork classes, and I'll be doing double knitting. So there's plenty to do. There's also going to be excursions around. So if you want more details about that, head to John's page about the knitting retreat and see if you can book. And it's also open to partners as well, non-knitting partners. So you can combine a holiday. You can go off and do the knitting stuff. The partner can stay by the pool or go to the bar or sit and watch the telly or join us on the excursions. It's all going to be very free and easy, and I think a lot of fun. And that takes me to June. So that's the first half of this year in terms of my knitting commitments. And that's Where's Sockmatician? That was done, thank you. Moving on. Golly, I wanted to keep this one quite short. It looks like it's going to be me burbling on for ages again, as per usual. So I'm now going to go into the podcast questions section here, because there's been a few, which is really lovely. So let me just get the page up properly. Okay, so Francis, who is Fram Spin on Ravelry, says, I love this December 1st episode, thank you very much. Please tell me, will there be some way, sometime, to listen to a full recorded version of Ben's competition? I was waiting since your Instagram post to listen to it, and now that I heard the ending, I really need to feel all of it. Yeah, I know what you mean. It really, Ben's music is the kind of music that you feel in your heart and deep in your gut. He's quite extraordinary. Those of you who watched the last episode, the World AIDS Day episode, will remember that I finished the podcast with a clip for the finale of Ben's huge piece of music. It was about a 12, 14-minute piece of music played by 700 people at the Albert Hall back in November. It was very, very exciting. And actually, yes, there is... I haven't watched this yet, and I don't know what the footage is like, but I know that there is somebody who was there in the audience has filmed the whole thing and posted it on YouTube, so I will put the link in the notes below. So Francis, you and anybody else can go and listen to it in all its glory. I did see the very end of it, and it was really funny because as the lights come up on Ben's box, their camera swings over, and you can see me filming Ben with the bit of footage that I showed in the last one. You can see from the other side, it's kind of weird going, oh, I was there and now I'm still in it, but from a different point of view and perspective. It's very strange. So yes, that's good to know. Nice simple question for you. Simple answer. Who else says this? So Ms. Lacey. Hi there. She says, my good friend, now, where are you from? I always forget. Christine, where are you? You're from Texas, I knew that. This is Christine from Texas. Says, of course, now I've lost the post. Bear with me. Hey, Nathan. This is an interesting one. Hey, Nathan. How do you feel about receiving knitted objects from other people who made them without talking to you first? No, I'm not planning a knitted gift, but I'm curious. But I am curious how people I know to be better knitters than I am respond to being the recipient. Well, I don't know about that. Listen, there are things I know I do well. There's plenty of things I'm sure you do a lot better. I'm in the process of trying to get my number of material things owned dropped by half by June. Do you know, that's really interesting you should say that, because I said to Ben, I'd quite like to throw away 1 in 2 of the objects I own this year. Exactly the same thing, exactly the same ratio. I own too much, we're drowning in this flat, there's too much stuff. So it'd be nice to get rid of a load of stuff. Obviously I would like to give it away to the people who might be able to use it, but ultimately I just need shot, so I may just bin a whole load of nonsense. I'm in the process of trying to get my number of material things owned dropped by half by June, and the knitted stuff I do not use is causing me some frustration. I know that feeling. I know I will not ever use these items, but I hate the idea of passing them on somewhere because the people might see them if it's a thrift shop or at the senior centre. Do you mean things that people have given to you and you're not going to wear them? Difficult. How do you handle this? Particularly, let's say, if the item was their very first finished object and the giver is convinced you'll love it. I do not want to be ungracious, but I need to get it dealt with. I'm not necessarily going to use your reply as my final decision, but your thoughts are appreciated. Well, it is interesting. It's a very, very difficult thing when somebody gives you a gift that you might not want. The act of giving is the gift, and the item itself is sometimes not important. It's enough to know that they loved you enough or cared for you enough to want to give you something. Now, when it's a handmade object, of course, the stakes are a little bit higher. I don't often receive handmade things. Occasionally I do, and I'm always delighted to get them. When we were down in Dorset on the 26th because there's only 27 of us over Christmas, over that period, we did a Secret Santa thing, so everyone brought a gift. Now, one of the gifts that was unwrapped by somebody else was a bottle of mead. Now, I like mead. Mead is really, really nice. It's a honey, it's like a wine made from honey. And I've liked it in the past. Now, I didn't get it, but I could tell that the person who did wasn't necessarily delighted with it. So with a little bit of judicious swapping, I managed to swap what I had got, well, with my husband actually, because it was a set of bath stuff, which I don't really use that sort of product, and he does. So I was able to swap with him, and I got something that I could then swap with the person who had the mead because I really wanted it. The reason I wanted it most was because one of Ben's cousin's sons had made it. He'd got quite into brewing and fermenting his own alcoholic drinks as a hobby and knows quite a lot of stuff about it. And this was something that he had made. I mean, everything, we'd had like a £5 limit on these presents, so it was all kind of Tatt, really. This was something special, and it was in a lovely bottle, and he'd made it himself. And I was able to go up to him, and he and I have never really got to know each other very well before. We've never spent a great deal of time chatting on a one-to-one. But I was able to go up to him, and I said, well, how do you do it? What's the process? And this is flavoured with this and this. And he was really chuffed that I was so interested and that I really wanted it. Not that I'd opened it and thought, oh, this is all right. I'd gone out of my way to get hold of it from him. And, you know, it's really strong. And it's not the smoothest of flavours, but it was the process, and it was his work that had got into it. It had been maturing for a year, you know, that mead, and I think it was quite special. So I know, because he said to me afterwards, he said, you know what, thank you so much. He said, it really means a lot that you liked this. He said, that's the best gift I could have had this year. And I was like, oh, gosh. And it was genuine, from him and from me. And his mum actually came up to me and she said, you know what, thank you so much for showing such an interest. He's not particularly socially very confident, and it meant so much that you were so pleased with his gift. It's like, you know what, I wasn't doing it for any reason other than it was genuine interest, and I was fascinated talking to him about it. That's a long aside, but it's just illustrating how much I value handmade stuff. As a maker myself, I know what goes into it. So, getting back to your question, Christine, I think you might have to make some tough choices if you're worried about the people who gave you the things, seeing them, either go outside your area and give them to charity shops in a town a long way away or in a different suburb of the city where there's no chance of that happening, or you might just have to get rid. You might just have to throw it away. You know, if you're on this initiative where you need for yourself to reduce the amount of clutter that you have in your life, it's going to be hanging over you if you don't. You have to get rid. It's difficult to be brutal when you know there's a sentimental attachment to something, and even if it's not your sentiment, you respect that as someone else. I know that's hard, but get rid. It's right. It's hard, isn't it? Sorry. Hi Nathan, says Stitchy Godmother. I'm a new subscriber and have been watching since just before your Rhinebeck trip. Well, welcome. I'm also a theatre person, but backstage in the wardrobe and costumes department. I've just recently come back to knitting after years of crocheting after discovering Portuguese knitting. I've been knitting shawls, but I'd like to try knitting socks. Do you have any recommendations of good places to start, please? Also, are you attending Yarndale, Perth or Edinburgh Wool Festivals next year? Perth and Edinburgh are closer to me, but I usually make a special trip down to Yarndale and I want to keep an eye out for you. So I can say hi. Well, I've already answered that already. In Edinburgh, definitely. I'll see you there in March. I've never been to Yarndale. I wanted to go this year and it's already in my diary for next year, this coming year. So I forget where we are at this time of year. So I may be there. I don't know about Perth yet. I haven't had any chance to talk to Eva about this year's Perth Festival and what the plans are for it, or whether they can include me or not, but there's every chance. I thoroughly enjoyed Perth. Just gone. Really, really enjoyed it. It was great fun. And then on to the next page. Martha, Murphy Doodle. Quick question here. When do you think you'll have another knit-along challenge for us? Do you mean like a mystery knit-along? Or just a knit-along? It's been a while and the last one was so much fun. If you mean mystery knit-along, I do plan to do another one this year. I'm hoping sort of March, April time I'll be able to get down, and don't hold me to that, you know I'm like, things get in the way. I really would like to be able to do that again. The Twisted Soul knit-along was enormous fun. It was really stressful for me because I hadn't planned it particularly well. I don't know if you remember me saying that I'd never planned it as a mystery knit along, but I had to rush out the pattern and it wasn't finished, so I put it out a bit at a time and I was hurrying to catch up while you were all doing it. And at that same time, it's when I got ill. So back in June. So it was hard going. It was really, really tough. This year, I'm not going to get ill, and this year I will plan it so that it's all ready to go and it's done. And by the time I release the first clue, it's all finished as far as I'm concerned and ready for you all 1 week at a time. That would be my ideal. I don't know whether it would be socks. I don't know whether it would be something. It's a mystery. So yes, I do have a plan. I don't have any firm plans yet, and I don't know what I'm going to do about it exactly, but I'd love to do it because I know how much people enjoyed it. Rose N. Rose says, hello Nathan, Happy New Year, and to you as well. I'm slowly catching up on your podcast, so apologies if I'm asking a question you've already answered somewhere along the line. I may have done. I was wondering if you ever give knitted items as gifts for birthdays, Christmas, etc. If not now, have you ever done so, and what sort of things did you make? As a knitter, do you get knitted items or knitting related things for presents? Yes, I have. I didn't this year, and I made a very conscious decision not to this year, because the year just gone, Christmas 2016, I made 3 scarves for my 2 nieces and my nephew, and I have knitted a pair of bed socks for my dad for his birthday for July last year. I would like to do more. I don't often get the opportunity, to be honest. Most of my knitting time is spent working on things that I'm working on for design, either for me or for commissions for magazines and things like that. So either my releases or magazine commissions. So it's really kind of tricky to then have the time to work on something which is just a thing to make. And I'd like to address the balance of that, but at the moment I've got so much else going on that I don't really have a chance for personal knitting very much. So yeah, I'd like to do more of it, but things often get in the way. And And Ginger Bedell says, my name is Ginger. I'm from a very small town in Vermont. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I wanted to thank you for clarifying what HIV really is, because I was one of the people that thought it was the same as AIDS. I didn't realise there was a difference. There is. I hope you and Ben are doing well and wish you a happy new year. Thank you very much. I do have a question, she says. Do you or Ben play any instruments, and if so, what? Well, I don't really. As you know, I'm a singer. That's my instrument. And Ben is a cellist. And he's quite a good pianist as well, but his cello is his main thing. He doesn't get a chance to play very often anymore. In fact, the cello hasn't been out of its case in a very long time, and I know he misses it. And I'd love him to play a bit more often. One of his bows needs rehairing, so I think that's part and parcel of it. But he's very good. He's never been a professional cellist, but he makes this beautiful, haunting tone out of the cello he has. It's really, really very lovely. So thank you, everybody, for your podcast questions. It's been lovely going through those. I always really, really enjoy getting those from you. So if you do have anything you want to know about me or my life, obviously, there's a whole new side to my life now, which I talked about on the last episode, which I'll just talk about a little bit more in a second. And if you do have any questions about that, do feel free to ask. I'm not easily embarrassed. I'm very open and upfront. I will decide whether I want to message you personally if I do think it is very personal, but probably not. So if you do want to ask me anything, then head over to the podcast questions thread. Now, that's not for how do I do an SSK or knitting related techniques, stuff like that. We can do that elsewhere, but stuff about me and my life. If you want to know, then do ask away on the podcast questions thread on my group on Ravelry. You know the rules. So, having just briefly mentioned HIV in that last post, I now want to sort of go into what will be a sort of semi-regular slot on this podcast, which is the status report. And that's basically anything at all to do with my health, my HIV story, or the advances that are happening in technology and medicine today. Anything at all that comes under the global umbrella of HIV and me, I can talk about here. I basically want to start this one off with, I'm going to get upset, with a massive thank you to each and every one of you. It was quite a gamble talking quite so frankly and openly on the podcast last time. It was something I felt I really, really wanted to do. I needed to do it. I wanted to be open with all of you, and I wanted to be upfront, and I didn't want to hide anything. What I was totally unprepared for was the level of love and support that I had coming back to me as a result of sharing my story with you all. It feels like, with me getting upset now, it feels like that this is something I'm still battling with and something I'm dealing with. It's not at all. I'm very, very comfortable with my HIV status. What's moving me is the love that you all showed to me. I had many, many hundreds of messages, personal messages, either left on YouTube, left on Ravelry, left on Instagram, and on Facebook, where I originally talked about these things. I was utterly unprepared for it. Basically, I spent the first 2 or 3 days in December just weeping with joy. I knew that I have a wonderful group of people out here watching this podcast, and it really brought it home to me how much love there is out there, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for sticking with this journey, sticking with me, and being so kind. I didn't say the things I said because I wanted that kind of affirmation. It really wasn't that at all. It was a quest to enlighten and to educate people about today's facts and what HIV is today. But what I got in return is something that I will treasure forever. So thank you very, very much. There are 1 or 2 people who have struggled with hearing the news. Not very many, and I understand that. I genuinely understand that, but I haven't had a chance to respond personally to anybody yet, and en masse, I probably won't. It will take me too long, and I just want you all to know that I really, really appreciate you taking the time to get in touch. There are some amazing comments that people have sent to me, and so many people have thanked me for giving them information that they were unaware of, and that's what I wanted. That's exactly what I needed. I know mums who are telling this information to their teenage children, saying if anybody tells you anything that's not true, you now have the information to say, actually, this is the case. All of these things are about breaking down the barriers of stigma and prejudice that surround HIV, and I've even had people saying to me, when I first heard your announcement, I felt disgust, but the more I heard you talk, the more I realised that there was no reason for that. And there's one lady who told me very bravely that she felt ashamed and wretched of her first feelings, and has learnt so much that she's going to go out and research more, and has entirely changed her views on people living with HIV. And for me, that's job done, you know. That was enough. That's enough for me to have gone through any amount of negativity, or do you know what? There hasn't really been any at all. I've had, as I say, one or two comments, personal comments, which is fine. Nothing sent out publicly, and do you know what? I value them. I really do. I value people's thoughts when they're different from mine. I know it's sometimes very difficult to reach out and say something that could be quite contentious. And those are the comments that I will respond to. So if you are watching this and you think that this applies to you, then I am going to get in touch, and you haven't upset me, and you haven't made me angry or hurt in any way, shape or form. You haven't offended me. I just want to open up a dialogue. So that's basically my plan. So for anybody else who has commented and has sent me well wishes and messages of inspiration and bravery and all of these things, which I don't actually believe I deserve, because it wasn't about being brave, it's about a need in me to communicate these things, and feeling lucky that I have the sort of personality and the platform from which to do that. But thank you for that, and you'll never ever know how much it means to me. Moving on again, away from such sort of earnest topics, back into the fun side of podcasting. I didn't expect to get quite so upset then. Upset because I'm happy, remember that. So, grammar rant. I'm not going to do a grammar rant. I'm not going to do a what's tat. This is already on an hour, so let's crack on with some knitting stuff, shall we? I haven't, I'm afraid, had a great deal of time to do much knitting at all. And the knitting I have done has all been on the secret project. Now, I think the cat's out of the bag a bit. I've been working closely with the Knitter magazine, and I have several patterns which are going to be featured in the Knitter magazine over the next few months. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm a little bit behind on some of my deadlines, so I do need to get some more knitting done, which does mean there's even less time for the work on some of my more fun projects. Fun for me. I don't mean writing commission patterns is not fun, but it can be quite tricky when you're working to a deadline and you get a bit stressed about it. So I do have, you haven't seen this for a long time, I don't know what state it was in, I do have this lovely, lovely sock. This is, it's all a bit tangled up, hasn't been out of the, oh gosh. There we go, there we are, that's more like it. Hasn't been out of the bag for a while, but look, this beautiful sock, which I am making from the best self-striping ribbed socks in the world pattern, which is all about keeping blipless stripes going through ribbing. Look how clean and lovely those are. Beautiful, ribbed all the way around. It's a 2x1 rib. It's a 72 stitch sock, I think. Yeah, it must be. So I've just been, I questioned that. 72 is always my number, and of course it works for 2x1 rib because it's divisible by 3 and by 4 for all the maths later on in the sock. I questioned it because the socks I've been doing for the Knitter magazine have had to be a female size for the models so they can photograph them. It's really, really tricky because I live in a household where we don't have any ladies' feet. So getting the measurements is really hard. I wouldn't know when to try it on. So yeah, this is a sock for me, and it's a 72 stitch sock. This is yarn which is from Mon Sheep Shop, which I was given at Edinburgh last year, and it's knitting up so beautifully. The colourway is called Scotland. It was one of the Six Nations set. I had Scotland, England and Wales given to me, and this is the Scotland. You can see the thistles and the heather and the hills. It's just beautiful. I've got as far as I've turned the heel and I've picked up the stitches for the gusset, but I haven't actually done any gusset work yet. But you can see there's my little heel flap with an eye of partridge heel flap going on there, and there's my heel turn at the bottom. I do love a traditional heel turn. I really, really do. Every time I complete it, I have a little sit to myself and I go, oh, look at that. What's going on here? My needle's a bit funny. There we are. I look at it and I think that's a little bit of magic. That is a piece of yarn becoming a piece of 3D engineering that will fit an awkward shape like the human foot. How amazing. This yarn is so soft. It's really, really lovely. I don't know if I've got that. Oh, I have got the ball band. I can tell you what the content is. I think it's just merino. Oh, it's on the inside. Can't see on the outside. There it is. This is called Feely Feet or Feezy Feet. I can't read that. Fingering, and I'm not able to show it to you really. Maybe. You're not going to be able to see that. This is from Cindy at Mon Sheep Shop, and it's 75% merino superwash and 25% nylon. Fabulous. It's very, very light fingering weight. It's 100 grams but 425 meters, so it's 465 yards. It's fabulous, and it's really, really soft and lovely, and I'm thoroughly enjoying working on it. I wish I had more time to put some more mileage on it at the moment, but it won't be for a little while until I've got some other things off the needles. And I have, over the course of the previous weeks, been able to put a little bit more work into my still as yet unnamed double knit scarf, which is all done with increases and decreases, but you've seen all this before. It's getting a little bit longer, but there's nothing really more exciting to show you. This is knit with the Erica Knight British Blue, I think it's called. British Blue, yeah, 100 gram. It's 100% British Blue Face Leicester. It's DK weight. It's so soft. It's got a lovely little halo of bloom on it. Can you see how it's just buzzing a little bit there? It's going to be, oh, it's so gorgeous. BFL becoming one of my absolute favourite fibres to work with. I'm not sure if it will ever replace alpaca in my affections, but in terms of everything else, I love it. And that's kind of that for all the knitting I can show you. I mean, there's other knitting going on in this bag, but you can see there's definitely a theme going on. I've got my 3 bags on the go here from Midwinter Yarns. Thank you, Estelle. You know I love your vintage bags. Can't help myself. So that's that. And now, all that's left is stash enhancement. This will keep us going for a little while. I did quite well over Christmas in terms of stash enhancement. I got yarn from my sister and from my dad and stepmother. Now, let me... Yes, this is... my sister was on a motorbike trip around Scotland, and she found herself in the middle of nowhere, and there's a tiny little shack, and this little shack was selling yarny goods. And there's a very little old man who was there, and she got talking to him. And I don't really know anything about this yarn. It's unlabelled. It comes from Croft Wools and Weavers, which is in Strathcarron in Rossshire. And she's got me this enormous great big skein of this natural, undyed, it's grey, it kind of looks green in this light, I don't know why. It's actually very, very lovely grey, very mottled grey. You can see there's quite a depth of character and tone in it, so I think there's lots of different colours of fibre that have gone into this. I don't know what it is. It's got a bit of character to it, as people would say. Ben probably can't touch it. I think it's lovely. I wonder if it's got some massam in it. Or if it's maybe it's not Wensleydale. I don't think it's lustrous enough for Wensleydale. I wish I knew. I don't know what the weight is. I don't know how much of it there is, but it's a goodly lot. I mean, it's massive. I don't know what it'll be, but it's really nice. I don't have a problem with this at all. I probably couldn't wear it as a hat. I think as I started to sweat, I might get a bit itchy. But I would easily be able to wear that against the skin in a garment. Probably able to wear it as a scarf as well. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. It's a loose sort of 2-ply by the looks of it. I just don't know what it is. I wish I knew more. It's very nice. The colour is lovely. It's almost exactly the same colour as these cushions. It's a yellower. It's a yellower grey than this, which looks like a sort of more bluey grey. So it does have a different depth to it. There's not a lot else to say. I don't know what I'll do with it. It'll go into stash until I need something like a good base. I tell you what would be really nice. This might be the yarn I could use with something like my mini skein sets from either Knitting Goddess or Mothy and the Squid, my rainbows of minis. This would be a nice base for that. Don't know the length. I don't know what sort of. It's probably not that much different from a fingering weight. Well, that's not really true. I'm sort of comparing it with a fingering weight here. This is the fingering weight I've got on the go on something else. It's not that different. It is thicker, but it would probably knit up about the same. I wonder if I could actually combine it with some fingering weight, or maybe hold them double. I don't know. There are possibilities. I'm thinking nice, lovely big blanket with pops of colour. Could be lovely. Who knows? That was from my sister, and thanks to her. Thank you, Sam. And then I've got this lovely, lovely bag of things from my dad and my stepmother, with Nathan, Love, Daddy and Liz. And, oh, so nice. They've gone to the local shop in Bath. Hello, Amanda. How are you? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And asked Amanda's advice on what of her stock I might most enjoy. Now, Amanda, I know, is a keen podcast watcher, because when I walked into her shop once, she was actually watching it on her iPad at that moment. It was the most surreal thing for her. She literally looked up from her iPad screen and saw me, was like, ah! It was brilliant. I loved it. But she's put together some really, really lovely things in this bag, and some of them are really, really gorgeous. So I've got 3 skeins of one thing and 3 balls of another. So I'll show you I'll show you these first of all. I've got 3. Look at these colours, aren't they gorgeous together? Dark purple, a sort of pinker purple, and the mauve in the middle there. This is all West Yorkshire Spinners stuff, but we've got. Now these 2, they're not quite the same. These 2 are the illustrious West Yorkshire Spinners, and this is 70% Falkland wool and 30% British alpaca, because I think Amanda knows that I love alpaca. And this one is the Aire Valley DK. They're all DK weight. I guess that's probably near a DK in what my sister gave me. And this is the Aire Valley DK is. What's the fibre on that? I don't actually know. 75% wool and 25% nylon, so that's more sort of like your workhorse yarn. This is it's got the softness from the alpaca in it. It is definitely nice. These 2 are definitely nicer to the touch than this, or there's nothing wrong with that. But the colours go so well together. I think I might try and find a project which can combine all of those. This illustrious is actually really nice. Falkland's wool and alpaca. What's not to love, eh? Gorge. And then I've got 3 50-gram balls of the King Cole Baby Alpaca DK. It's just beautiful. Look at these colours. I've got this sort of dark charcoal grey, beigey cream, And again, this purple, but the purple's got so, there you are. The purple's got so many different tones in it. Can you see it's got yellows and blues, and it's almost like the overall effect is purple, but the closer you get to it, the more you can see its component colours. It's like a pointillist painting, you know, the paintings by Georges Seurat, a Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grande Jatte and the swimmers, where he'd all created with different concentrations of coloured dots. Really, really lovely. This is so luxurious. It's baby alpaca. I mean, really, honestly, what are you trying to do to me? It is fabulous, and I do absolutely love it. So there's definitely a colour theme working its way through the entire gift set here, although they're very different yarns. This is DK. I could combine. I don't know what I'll do with them yet. It's so soft and so lovely. I'm thinking it has to be like a nice colourwork scarf or a little miniature shawl or some little shawlette type thing. Something to wear around the neck because it's so soft and so delicious. Why would you want to put it anywhere that's not around your neck? You know, you want it to be one of the most sensitive places that you have. So that was a really, really lovely, lovely goodie bag of Christmas yarn from my parent and step-parent and sibling. Yes! Love it. I really love it. Thank you to all of you. That's kind of it. I'm going to keep this a little bit shorter than usual. I did intend to do that, and mercifully, I've managed to do it. I'm sorry there hasn't been as much knitting content as I would love. Let me get the next few weeks out of the way. Let's get this commission knitting out from... This sounds really ungrateful. It is becoming a bit of a millstone around my neck. It's been 3 projects back to back, and they're kind of similar. They're thematically linked, so they have to be. I've made my life more difficult by some of the things I've put into them. It's not to say they're going to be difficult to knit. They're going to be really super easy to knit, but the engineering of them hasn't been quite so simple. So it's been tough to try and format that in a way that fits a magazine house style, because the thing is with my own patterns, I can say, well, click on this link or head to this QR code and watch a tutorial on YouTube. When it's being done for a magazine, it has to all be clear. It has to be all contained in the pages of the magazine itself, with no external influences or references needed. And it's really hard, and it's taking its toll. So I'll be glad when it's done. I'll be glad not to see the back of them, because I've really enjoyed the process of putting them together, but it's just become something that I'm now ready to move on from. But I've still got one entire sock to knit. Yeah. I'll do it as quickly as I can. And then I'll have things I can actually knit to show you, which would be nice, wouldn't it? Blessings to you all from me here in North London for a wonderful 2018. It struck me as I was sort of moving... This is kind of what I want to say earlier, I forgot to say in the status report. I expected this year to be really, really hard. I expected it to have sort of great emotional connotations of, you know, when you move from one year and what it contained into another year and what it has in store for you. I thought that saying goodbye to 2017 would be a big deal, because 2017 for me is a year where my life changed a lot. And actually, it wasn't. I realised that suddenly from Boxing Day marked the six-month stage since my diagnosis, and then suddenly 6 months felt like a long bit of time. I know it's all new for you guys, but it's been so new for me for the second part of last year. But suddenly you think, well, it's been 6 months, it's been half a year. It's not that recent anymore. It's now my new normal, and I'm adjusting to life with my new normal very, very well. And I'm pleased to say that. Genuinely, it's not a big deal. I'm not going to underestimate what's going on in my body and in my life. Of course, it's a big deal. But what I'm saying is it's not something that I was really, really, really worried about and holding on to. So actually, moving from one year to the next wasn't the big milestone that I felt it might be. It was just the next day in my journey. And that got me thinking about other things. We all make these sweeping changes. We all have these resolutions and say, well, everything's going to change. It's a brand new year. It's a brand new start. Do you know what? It's not. It's just the next day in your journey. And if things are going to change, it's you that has to make the change. All right? Don't think that just because it's January, nothing's changed. It's only the date that has changed. And if you're going to make any changes, you have to make the effort. And that's the message I want to give to you to carry into 2018. If you are planning any changes, if there's anything in your life that you want to, if it's cutting down on clutter, if it's getting better at time management, if it's whatever it is, it's not going to happen just because the number at the end of the calendar has changed. Sorry, you got to work harder at it than that. We all do. Because, as you know, just like this podcast episode, life is a work in progress. Look after yourselves and just take it one stitch at a time. Bye-bye.